Get out there and find that damn car.
If you have watched any racing related videos on my channel, then you know that I very much enjoy arcade racers. I have tried out a few realistic racing sims, but I found out that I am horrible at these games. I appreciated the amount of work and detail that go into these games, along with the modes that they provide, but when it actually comes to controlling the cars, I'm very bad at it. But I still end up enjoying them as well. But arcade racers give me that racing fantasy that you see in action movie car chases. I miss titles like the Burnout games and Split Second, as those two games provided high quality racers and brought you into that Hollywood chase scene. We do not usually see these types of games anymore. Last year we saw the release of a new Grid game which had its own good merits, but it definitely felt like it was lacking in content, and the Need for Speed series felt like it was in a bit of a weird spot. Need for Speed is a huge racing franchise, yet I felt like the marketing for Need for Speed Heat was really odd. When the game was announced at E3 2019, it wasn't really advertised with the bang that you would expect from such a long-running series. And the same thing sort of happened when it launched later that fall. Usually when a new big game is coming out, the week prior to the release there is this nice big marketing push, and depending on the game there might be an even larger push for it. But Need for Speed Heat seemed to have a very silent launch, especially considering the big name behind it. With the fall season being crowded with so many games, it's really easy to miss one of them. And Need for Speed Heat initially missed me, yet I saw some footage of the game and I wanted to give it a try. Need for Speed fans said that they were enjoying the game, and the gameplay looked like my cup of tea. I know that Need for Speed was in an odd space for a while, considering the fans and critics had issues with the recent entries, especially with Payback, as it had a large amount of intrusive microtransactions. Need for Speed Heat seemed more focused on providing a fun and rewarding gameplay experience with solid driving. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review for Need for Speed Heat. After a few story missions, the game lets you enjoy the open world, or you can follow the main story and side missions. There's a lot of content here. The game is set up into two parts, the day sections and the night sections. During the day, you can complete races and events for money. The cops are a lot less aggressive during the day, and it lets you focus on just doing the racing. The races and events work like you would expect them to, and for the most part, you can race freely and enjoy the events without needing to worry about the cops coming after you to change up an event. The racing is really enjoyable and delightfully arcadey. You can bump and smash into most things like trees or poles, and they will just fly off of your car like paper. This is more of a fantasy than a racing sim. The city provides you with plenty of races to enjoy as you progress within the game. More and more races will open up at various locations across the map. The game has a nice variety of races, like sprint races where you race towards a specific point and try to beat everyone else, drift races where you focus on maximizing your drift points, normal races, and more. The open world is peppered with a bunch of extra stuff to do. There are many collectibles scattered throughout the open world, and they will show up on your map as you drive around them, or you will be alerted to them if you're in a race and you're around a collectible. I enjoy doing the billboard ones, as they usually involve you needing to go off of some fun jumps. The open world has some nice challenges that you can drive into that will provide you with additional rewards, like being able to hit a set speed or a drift challenge. As I mentioned before, you will earn money during the day, and that is one of the forms of progression, where at night you will be focused on earning reputation and contending with the cops.
Watch out on the sides, we're gonna try to spin them. I'm taking this to a secure channel. They know about the shipment. Bastards were leading us here all along. Shit. Bob with the left jacket off.
I love the nighttime section of the game. Cops are way more aggressive at night, and these guys will comically hunt you down. They are relentless. There are plenty of night events and races to do, and these events will reward you with more reputation. Think of reputation as your level in an RPG, and this opens up more opportunities to do harder races, and it opens up more cars for you to then buy and upgrade your vehicle. So you use your reputation to open up more areas of the game, and you use your money to buy better cars and parts. Your car will essentially have a gear level like in a looter shooter, and you can improve your gear level through better vehicles and upgrading parts of your car. Depending on the car, you can customize many elements of it. I just wish that all of the customization was consistent across the board. Certain vehicles will have less customization than others. As you complete events at night, you will gain reputation and catch the attention of the cops. The trick with the nighttime gameplay is that you do not get to keep everything that you have earned until you go back to the safety of your safe house and escape the cops. Along with this, the longer you stay out, the higher your heat meter will rise, and this acts as a multiplier for all of the reputation you earn that night. Cops will try to take you out, and they can quickly do a lot of damage to your car. You can carry a healing item to give your car some health back, or you can visit some of the gas stations to get all of your health back, but you can only use them a few times in one night. The cops turn the normal racing into an action racer.
My car's busted. Looks like I'm on the sidelines from here on out.
The multiplayer is pretty fun if you have some friends to play with, as you can start the game either offline or online, and while online you will be put into a server with a bunch of other people. You can challenge everyone there to a race and get more rewards for it. I played mostly in single player, and I like that this was an option. The multiplayer does provide you with opportunities to race other random players or party up with your friends and race them. If you are in a party together, you will get alerted if your friend wants to start a race. You have the option to join the event and race him, along with other human players and other bots. The multiplayer is a bit odd when playing with a friend. It feels less cooperative and more like you're sharing the same space with them. You can join each other for events, or you can just go and do your own things. The multiplayer is a nice inclusion, with the focus of the game being on the single player races. The nighttime section of the game keeps the action interesting and pretty intense. I do think it was a good idea to have some urgency to these sections that you need to get away from the cops and then get back to your safe house so you can collect all of your rewards. The risk and reward with staying out longer and catching the attention of more cops is extremely satisfying. I love how the cops act as this unknown entity, and they can come into your races and totally change up a normal race into something different in a great way. The cops add another factor to consider, and I never got tired of the night races because of this aspect. When the cops are present, the game encourages you to either try and fight back or outrace them. It is really fun to bump and smash into the cops. I very much want a new Burnout game, and while this game is not like Burnout, these night sections give me a little bit of that spirit that I missed. The game does have a story, but for me, this was not the main selling point to the game. Overall, I appreciated the good presentation of the story with some nice cutscenes, but I found myself not really caring about the main narrative or the characters. I did encounter some flaws with the game. I did have one instance of where the cutscenes kept lagging. I also wish that the game had more variety in the different types of events. There's plenty of races and some challenges, but I do wish that the game went a little bit over the top with some of its options, like maybe a few races that required more aggressive driving. Along with this, I was a bit disappointed in the damage of the cars. The game does have some nice detail in showing the small level damage, but the cars never really get into a state of being destroyed. And I think if more damage was shown, it would only make the cop sequences that much more rewarding when you take them out. My last flaw is more of a discussion item, and it's in regards to the cops. I really like that the cops are this hard opposing force that feels like a large challenge to overcome, especially within the beginning hours. This makes it really satisfying when you have a large amount of reputation and you need to bank that and you have several cops on your tail. But it is rather frustrating when they take you out rather easily, especially in the beginning hours. I feel like the cops could be a bit more tweaked to push this more in the direction of being challenging and less frustrating. I sadly have no idea how to do this. Like I said, I would want the cops tweaked a bit, but I also like how hard they are to deal with. Regardless, Need for Speed Heat is one awesome racer. Need for Speed Heat is easily one of my favorite arcade racers this generation so far. I like how the day and night sections give you two different experiences. The daytime allows you to enjoy races without the aggressive nature of the cops, and the nighttime sections turn the racing into more of an action racer. I sunk a lot of time into this game, and I never found myself getting bored. I would like to see these developers take what they have here and continue to build on it for a sequel. I highly recommend Need for Speed Heat.